hours or whatever.
Dude, what other games were sick in high school? Like, 7-Up, dude. 7-Up was sick all the time.
Dude, 7-Up was cool because you could play it in the classroom. It wasn't
7-Up
gym.
wasn't cool. The only cool thing about it was that you weren't doing classwork.
That's actually correct.
Yo, catch me playing 7-Up right now.
Two people, the three of us.
Dude, everyone would cheat playing 7-Up because you could just like put your head over the edge of the desk.
Yeah.
And then you'd look at their shoes. It was the shoes every time you'd give it away.
My parents taught me how to cheat at 7-Up. My mom was a pro, dude. She could have gone pro if she wanted to, but she stayed home.
I feel like she just didn't have the dedication kind of thing. Like she wasn't like a locker room guy. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. Like
no, she was too much of a team player. That's what her coaches said. She focused too much on propping her teammates up than working on her own skills, and it kind of it made her fall behind a bit relative to the competition. You know.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's
maybe
tough.
she was a little more selfish and a little less of like a locker room gal. She would have gone pro, but you know, everyone still speaks highly of her. You know, so it's fine. You know, she likes where she is in life, and you know, she doesn't think about the past.
No, I think with 7-Up, like you gotta stay dedicated, like you gotta stay on, you know. Like if you slack off at all, like you're just gonna fall behind because people get good at 7-Up real quick.
Well, and that's the thing is that the game's always changing, so you have to keep playing to keep up with the trends and stuff like that, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. And like guys, like careers aren't very long because it's a demanding sport. So like, you only play for 5 or 6 years, and like you're gonna have a couple concussions, 1 or 2. You know what I mean? You got to walk out with your facilities intact. You know what I mean? Like a Henry Cejudo character.
It's sort of like when you think of it, like you can only take so much wear and tear before you realize that trying to go pro isn't worth it anymore. Like you could try to go pro and ruin your body, or you could give up when you get satisfied, and then you can save your body and you have less wear and tear and less tread on the tires or whatever, so you can like teach instead. There's a lot of money. It's not as much money as like being a professional competitor, but being a professional teacher, I mean, it's consistent, and it's still a path to the Hall of Fame, and I think that's what everyone's goal is.
Well, it's like you got to be dedicated too. Like I feel like I feel like you start learning the game. You start feeling the game. You like learn the game so early that like you know whether you want to pursue it or not. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You learn it in the classroom. It's that simple. You learn it in the classroom.
Well, it's like the thing that gets me the most too is like, especially talking with my mother. I just had dinner with her today. That's why I was late getting on the show. But she was talking about how she was left-handed, and that gave her an advantage, but also a bit of a disadvantage because there's only been so many professional left-handed 7-Up players. Mm-hmm. And so while they all dominate, they get figured out quite fast, sort of like this, the Legion of Boom Seahawks or the no-fly zone Broncos of the past few years in the NFL. Like, they dominate for 2 or 3 years, and then they just, as soon as they get figured out, as soon as they learn how to hit your pitch, you're done,
Well, that's the thing. Like in Pro 7-Up, you can feel guys' pressures. You know what I mean? Like, what their pressure's like. When your thumb's up and you feel their pressure, you can tell like who it is. They have like a signature pressure to them. And that's years of scouting. Like that's scouting and, just like doing your it's experience really is what
and on the flip side of that too is the fact that you can't unlearn that. Like Kyle was telling us about how he changed his pitching form. And like he was talking about how long it took just to do that, but to try and fix your pressures when you're hitting the thumb, I mean, you might as well just give up on the sport if you try to do that. Like, I mean, you might as well just start from square one, sort of like the drummer from Meshuggah when he learned how to play bleed. He had to start from the beginning. You
got to relearn
how to play drums.
Right. Yeah, it's a tough thing. Like, I don't know. You got to work on your footsteps. I mean, there's like. You got to be quiet. You can't have heavy feet because they'll pick you out. I mean, those guys, those pros, they'll pick you out.
Yeah.
It's
and then
a tough
just get back to the wear and tear,
That's what I mean. And it's real athleticism, too, when you think about it.
Well, I mean,
you got to walk around. You got to push dudes' thumbs down. The other guys have to sit. That's crazy.
Well, you think about players like Kellen Moore, You know, Kellen Moore is one of the greatest, and Tim Tebow too. Two of the greatest college football quarterbacks of all time. They didn't make it in the NFL, but you know, Kellen Moore is doing his part by becoming a coach. You know, you don't get the fame or the notoriety, but you get a pretty good money, pretty good gig.
But
you're
I mean,
still
it's
doing
like
you're still doing what you love.
it's hard to not get good at it. Like you're playing it all through grade school, you're playing it through middle school, you know, you're playing it through high school, you're playing it through college. It's like you're even playing it at home sometimes, you know, on family game night. You know what I'm saying? You're playing 7-Up. Everybody does that. But like when you get to a professional level, it's a whole nother ball game. It's a completely different ball game because you got teams, you got you know, coaches, you got scouts. I mean, it's a whole other level.
Yeah, man, for sure. But anyway, enough about 7-Up. I mean, we could probably talk the whole night about 7-Up, but
Yeah.
Politics gets taxing.
That might be one of the longer bits that we've ever done.